Welcome to Runners of the Corn podcast, a podcast about all things running in the Midwest.
It's just a hike in the woods. It's an adventure.
But we are recording. Oh, we are kidding.
Oh, boy.
With your host, Jen Heller. Here we go. Welcome to Runners of the Corn. It's Jen Heller. Only Jen Heller today. No co-host. Making it easier to get this done, okay? All right, so today's episode, we're going to talk about balancing running with the rest of our life. It's something so many of us struggle with, especially with when our loved ones do not share our passion for, pounding out some miles on the trails or the roads. For me, I have a spouse who doesn't run, so I'm constantly working on that striking a balance between my training, spending quality time with him, making sure I'm present for my family and friends who could care less about running. Hey, and let's not forget, some of us work. I work part-time, so sure, I work from home, but that doesn't mean I'm not on the clock. And trust me, just because I work remotely doesn't mean my training magically fits into the day without effort. The snarky comments I've heard on that subject could fill an episode by themselves. Okay, so today I'll be chatting with some three amazing guests about how they manage to fit running into their lives while juggling careers, relationships, and other priorities. These are conversations I think we all can relate to on some level. So let's get into it with my first guest, Alisa Hardy. Okay, Alisa is from Texas and has her own perspective on balancing life and running, and I can't wait for you to hear what she has to say. All right, let's go. Okay, welcome to the podcast. We have Alisa from Texas. Did I say your name right? Did I just say it? You looked at me like,
yes.
I always want to, I have to be careful because there's Alisa, Alicia's. I mean, so.
You did it right, Alisa. Mm-hmm.
I didn't say Alicia because I have a friend that I run with who's Alicia, and I don't like, nope, not Alicia, wow. Alisa. So welcome to the podcast. You're a Texas runner. You're going to be running Dino soon. I'm so excited for you.
Yes.
You're a regular over there though, yes?
Yes. Every year I say it's my last year, and then I go back for something.
I said it was my last year. I mean, I'm a newbie there, so I ran it 2 years. I did try and show up again, but it wasn't in my cards to make it happen. But I'm sad I'm not going to be there. So maybe I'm hoping next year. Yeah. So maybe next year. There's just a lot I got to pay for. Which is going to be part of this podcast. So,
yes, ma'am.
Yeah. When your spouse is like, I'm sorry, how much are you doing in 2025? You're like, about that.
I have FOMO. So.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to even look at the page while you guys are running.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to take this one easy so that I can start training with an awesome coach.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah.
I look forward to that.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. So what race do you have coming up after Dino? You want to share that?
So my A race is Grasslands 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's in March. I have a couple of, shorter ones that I don't plan on racing, but just going out and enjoying the crowds and running them. And yeah.
Okay. All right. So how long have you been running ultras?
Oh, ultras. My first ultra was in 2016.
Okay. And your spouse, your person does not run?
No, he does not run.
Okay.
No.
So how does that work in your house? Like, is there issues or is there a struggle with your training? Like timing and
it
such?
Used to be harder. My children are grown now. But when they were still in school, when I was training for marathons, I didn't do my first ultra until my son, graduated from high school. And then I was able to train a little bit more. And I fit all my training in when I dropped my daughter off at her gym. She did competitive cheer and dance and tumbling. And so I would get my runs in during her practice time. And then once they graduated, I was able to just obviously have a little bit more time. I run my own business too, so I kind of have that little bit of a benefit. I can sneak away if I want or leave early. Mm-hmm. My husband's a firefighter, so he works 24 on, 48 off. So that day he's on duty is obviously an easy day for me. I get to go and spend as much time as I want on the trail. But I think the agreement we came to, he hunts and fishes, so he stays really busy with his activities too. And I always told him, you know what? I raised your children. I took them to all their practices. I ran them around. Now it's my turn. And so, he's very patient, luckily. Sometimes he's on Sunday morning, he wants me to sleep in, have breakfast with him. So on those days, I try to squish it in the afternoon.
Okay.
I tell him that's fine, but I still have to get a run in today. So luckily my husband, wants me to accomplish my goals.
I like it. I identified with the morning thing. I feel like that's the big one. It's such a weird struggle, and it's mornings. So we're really busy Monday through Friday, the both of us. So like 4 a.m., it's going. We're moving. He's going. I'm going. Busy. Hi, bye. And then sometimes he's home during the week. Sometimes he's not because of his career. And then, but weekends, he's just like, I want you home Saturday or Sunday morning. I want to sit and have breakfast, like a slow going morning with coffee and what have you, especially when we hit our winter time. He likes to sit by a fireplace and just and I'm like, I got to go do miles.
Yeah. And if fire ready for me, I'll be home soon.
Yeah. And so he's just not, he's like, he gets a little jealous,
Yeah.
rightfully so. So,
yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's hard. What about, do you have any issues with nutrition? Like, are you like, no, it works out. Like, so I know some people are like really clean eating and when they're into their training, they're all about the clean eating. And then they got a spouse who's like, I want ding dongs.
Luckily I don't like that kind of stuff. But I mean, for the most part, I eat pretty good. Sometimes, obviously you have days where it's on the go and you just got to choose the best choice you can from fast food. I'm not really a huge fan of fast food personally.
Yeah.
But I always feel like I can find something that's not so bad, replacing a burger with a wrap or, something like that. I'm not the best at keeping up with my calories and protein intake and, nutrition. I do try to limit having drinks until the night after my last long run. I try not to have any alcoholic drinks the night before a run because it just makes you feel like crap.
Right. But do you ever feel like a spouse ever plays a role in that, like good or bad?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we do. We enjoy having a beer after dinner or, sitting out on the back porch, watching TV or whatever. And, so we enjoy watching football together. Yeah. And so.
I'm a big football fan, yeah.
Yeah, and if I don't have a really early morning run, I'll sit down and like we talked about, Sunday morning breakfast. I'll have a beer, but I usually try to limit it at one. But I really struggle the older I get. I feel like when I was young, I denied myself so much, and so as I've gotten older, I just am like, it's not worth it. Like sometimes just enjoy the moment. Without overdoing it. Yeah. And so, I have more issue with sugars. So if I have sugars in the evening, I cannot sleep. I go to bed feeling like total crap, and so that's actually more of an issue for me than anything else. But I try to stay on track with what I'm doing.
That's a huge issue for me, sugar. I am a sugar addict.
Are you?
Yep.
I'm better in the last couple of years, but now I do like some chips and salsa.
What's wrong with chips and salsa? I heard vitamin C.
I always said I'll give up a lot of things. That is one thing I don't think I can ever give up.
Somebody said that we're talking about eating healthy and because I'm doing that 75 soft and they're like, yeah, it's something about tacos. And I go, what's wrong with tacos? Tacos are 100% healthy. I am never giving up tacos. No way. And I'm like, chips and salsa, it's tomatoes. Like, Okay, the chips, but whatever. They're
Well, I
thin.
mean,
They're
if
thin.
you go corn chips, it's not bad.
It's not bad.
Come on.
No.
Of course, somebody pointed out to me that's four chips is one tortilla, and I was like,
They don't need to be negative like that.
But I mean, yeah, I probably could benefit from counting my protein, but I feel like the more you stress about things, the worse you feel. And so if it comes down to just eating versus worrying about what I'm putting in my body, I'd rather just eat and hope for the best, I guess.
Yep.
So.
Okay, spouses, support or sabotage. Has there ever been a moment when there's been a lack of understanding that has made something tricky for you, like going away for a race or training runs? Have you ever?
Yes, actually, the most recent one was Lake Murray, which was the end of October, and it was a 50K. And I originally wasn't going to run it because of the injury, and then felt strong enough that I could go out there and just spend the day and enjoy the race. And usually I like to go out and camp the night before, and my husband was going to be home. And so I ended up, having to bargain with him. Okay, but we have to go to bed early Friday, but then I had to get up in the middle of the night and drive up to Oklahoma for the race. So, it was kind of a catch-22, but I got to spend some time with him and still do the race guilt-free. So
It's that give and take, huh? Yep.
yeah. Yeah. So
time management. What kind of strategies do you have to make sure your partner doesn't feel left out while you're racking up the miles?
So during the week, I promise to just be done with everything by the time it's time to fix dinner. So that's our agreement. And no matter how I manage my day between work, house duties, everything, as long as it's all done by dinner time, that way we can have dinner and spend the evening together and enjoy each other. So that's kind of the agreement. Every once in a while, something happens, that I have to throw it into the evening. And, so I tell him, trade your stuff so that you can do your things that you don't need me to be with you while I'm on the treadmill or while I'm out running. So, and as long as that doesn't happen too much, it works out great.
Yeah, I like that. That's kind of, and then I have people like, why don't you come to the evening runs? Why don't you come to the evening group runs? I'm like, this is our time. Like dinner time is our time. And then we don't see each other,
Well, and as far as group runs go, our group meets on Wednesday nights. And they also have, I think they have a group run on Tuesday nights, which I don't go to very often because it's on concrete and I prefer trail. But I only go to those runs when my husband's on duty.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
And so I just choose because it's a long drive for me out to the group run and I don't want to leave him that long. So, so I don't do it if he's home.
To be honest, because some of them are going to listen and go, oh, mine, I could go to them because he's out of town a lot during the week, but it's like, I don't want to because I'm on such a schedule and I feel like I'm such a structured personality. Right. I enjoy shutting down around 7:30 at night, like starting to wind down, read and go. I like to be in bed really early. I'm up at 4 a.m. working. And it's like, well, if I run at night, it's hard because you're getting your blood pressure up, you're getting moving, and then you're hungry again, and now you got blood sugars going. I can't go to bed. So every time I go, I'm laying there like 10, 11, 12. I'm like, oh, but then I still wake up at 4. So yeah, it doesn't do me any good. But
yes. Yeah. So well, and I have Monday's my rest day. So I take my grandbaby home from work and let her come and spend the night. And, we have our time, but I just pretty much have to just stick to my schedules, which we all do,
Yep.
And just be persistent that this is what I'm going to do. And, this is what I'm going to do. And,
Yep. All right. So celebrating wins. Does your partner get excited about your races or do they just kind of tolerate them?
No, he gets excited for me. He's always real proud of me. He's not much of he doesn't like to show up. I mean, I don't blame him. That's a long day. And I do it so much that I hate to ask him to sit there. Now he'll be there for grasslands. So that'll be really nice. And he's planning a big, to do for that. So that'll be nice. But I don't really ask family to come much.
For the big stuff more so, you think? Like,
Right.
yeah.
Right. Something that I feel like is a big deal for me. I'm like, please come be there. I'd like my son to come pace me in at Grasslands. My daughter's always been an amazing supporter. My daughter-in-law also. So I'm happy to have that.
Good. So do you have any advice for others who are struggling to maintain that harmony in their relationship and their running miles?
Yeah, I always feel like, sit down with your spouse, your family, and tell them, these are my plans. This is what means the most to me. And I'm asking for, your support. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like people discuss things enough. I feel like you should really have a lot of conversation, mm-hmm. which, if you know my husband and I, we're huge talkers.
That's great.
We have conversations about everything. And decide. And then I have to remind him, one doesn't just go run 100K, dear. One doesn't just go run a 50-miler. I have to remind him all the time that, you have to have that body built for that. Mm-hmm. So
I'm hearing communication is key here.
Yes. Yeah. And we're like that with everything. The communication is huge in our house.
I like it. So, like, for those listening, I recently had to have that conversation because I know I'm doing something really big next year. And so to get ready, I have to, on Sundays, we do hill repeats. And I really enjoy those. It's also kind of it's hard stuff, but when you're with a group, it makes it a little less sucky. Mm-hmm. So, and it's just something that I had started, and I want to keep doing. And it works right with where my miles are. It's just Sunday is it. And so I like to go there and just hammer hills really hard, just hill. And he's like, but I want you home, and it was a guilt every time. So finally I sat down, I said, listen, I've got to be able to go up possibly this one mountain. And I am from a flatlander. I've got to do this, and I've got to, and I said, how about this? Football is really big for us. Yeah. I will always be home by noon, and we will be ready for, and ready to watch football. But I need you to give me the morning, and I'll be with you on Saturday. I take it rest day. Saturdays is all yours. And so he kind of, you can see the wheels spinning. He's like, deal. It was like, deal. But
that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be that way. Everybody needs to be willing to give. And if you really look at the picture of it, like you said, hill repeats. How long do you need that? It's only this long, babe, and then I'll be ready. Then I'm all yours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I usually do hill repeats, and then I meet another group and I do like an easier walk afterwards. So it's usually like a 13-mile day by the time I'm done. Yeah. But it's important. And I said, instead of you making me, I don't like walking out the door feeling guilty. I need to walk out the door feeling motivated. And so it was raining one day and I wasn't feeling like really 100%. I had a little headache, and he's like, go get after it. No quitting. Don't something. He said something really motivational. And I was like, who is this? And then he ended the text with, is that better? Am I doing better?
I love it.
And I thought,
yeah. Well, I was going to say, if you've ever run with me, which Andrea, I've run with Andrea, and she knows, my husband will call me. He tracks me on the tracker to see how far I am to my, and he'll call me, how's it going?
Aww.
How much longer you think?
That's adorable.
But she checks in with me, plenty. So. And I think with him, as long as he can maintain some contact with me, he's okay.
Yeah, and that's another point for listeners, that tracker. So I know some spouses have concerns. And so either because of the terrain we're in, the potential of things happen. Some places, some people have wild animals where they're at. I have health concerns. I have a seizure disorder. So we have Google. We use, there's Life 360. There's Apple thing, and we use Google Maps. And so I have him on constant sharing on Google Maps. So he always knows where I'm at and the trails, and it's good. And it makes him feel a little better. My husband is in law enforcement, so that his mindset is something could happen to you. And sure enough, there was like a really big storm coming one time. And he's like, I see where you're at and you need to get out of there. And I'm like, all right, but it gives them that peace of mind of, I got another text, hurry up. I'm like, I can't just run 4 miles that fast. You know what I mean? So
I know when you have those emergency workers, I get it.
yeah.
And with the Garmin, my husband could actually see my heart rate.
Oh.
He could see my pace. He could see everything. And with the Coros, you can't see all that. And he said, I'm going to need you to go back to the Garmin. I like being able to see all your stats while you're running.
I have both. Oh my gosh. I never thought about that he could see all that. I went, I don't know. I don't know.
Oh yeah, he's called me when I've been running races and he's been on duty, and he's like, "Okay, your heart rate looks good, your pace is looking great," and so it always makes me laugh.
That's adorable.
He cares so much, yeah.
All right, last question for you. Non-running perspective. Have you ever tried to get your partner to join you on a run, and how did that go?
So my husband, when I ran roads a lot, my husband would say, let's go for a run. And I really? Okay, come on, let's go. But the whole time he would say, okay, tell me when we get to a mile. Tell me when we get to a mile. And then when we get to a mile, he'd go, I'll see you at home. And he'd turn around and head back home. And so, but I was thankful for the 1 mile. I'll take it.
Yep.
Whatever I can get. So
I like it.
I do have my little granddaughter does some little trail races with me. She's 3. We've done some little 1 and 2K races, and that's fun. And I told her, all my hope's in you, baby.
I know, you have like one in the family. Like, can somebody in this family do this? It's my niece from 8. She's like, I'm going to beat you someday at a race. I'm like, I hope you do.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
I hope you do.
Great.
And she's getting really fast. So I'm like, on the roads. So trail's different.
On the trail now, baby.
Yeah. But yeah, someday. Well, thank you so much for all of that. I love it. All right.
Thank you.
Until next time, we'll have to have you on the podcast to talk about you. See?
Okay.
Maybe after Grasslands. Maybe after Grasslands.
Yes.
All right.
That would be awesome. Yes.
All right. Until next time. Bye.
Thanks. Take care.
Up next, we have Oscar Delgado. Here we go. Okay. Welcome to the podcast. We have Oscar Delgado. Yeah.
Oh, hey.
How are you?
Fine. I just got up and I'm ready to rock the world.
Yeah. So 8 a.m. day off.
Yeah.
You're just fresh waking up. I've been up since 2:30. So
You're basically a night person.
I'm a very early person. I'm also in bed usually like 7:30. So yeah.
I work nights, so I recognize the people that can function after 2 a.m. I cannot. I'm really terrible, but that's what trains you for these long distance races, right? To be able to function after 2 a.m.
Yeah, I'm actually really good at night. So a lot of people like me for night pacing for that reason, because I'm just like bubbly in the night. But I usually work. I start work at about 3 a.m., 4 a.m. sometimes. So
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting off at 7 a.m. I'm taking off. I'm leaving work, and then I'm heading out either training or doing some sort of, chore or task. And then I get home. I probably fall asleep around 2 p.m. and I'm back up around 6. So that's not a lot of sleep. That's the way I have been functioning for 2 years now.
Oh,
yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah. I like to do my stuff, get it done. I do some online work for people. I do that and then I get it done. And then it's like, and then I get out the door and train. So
the training is consistent, I assume.
Yes. Right now it is.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
I got over my injury and I'm back out there, racking up the miles. So yeah.
Good.
All right. So we're going to talk about being married or with somebody, however, be having a significant other who does not run, and we're training for ultras and how that all works out. And so you have that in your life as well.
Yep.
All right. So you want to talk about the training struggle between how you balance your training for ultras and spending quality time with your non-running significant other.
That's right. So I could say that I've been doing this now a little bit over 8 years, and I'm turning 50 years old next summer. And I don't feel the need to slow down. I feel the need to speed it up because from 50 to 65, that's only 15 summers, and 65 just feels like retirement age.
Yeah.
Either way.
Hey, you're hitting a new age bracket.
Yeah, scary. But I really think that balance between what I'm doing and the way I was doing it was out of balance. So I had no balance.
Okay.
So for the last year to last year, 2 years, I was completely selfish and using my own hobby, which is really what this becomes, is as an excuse to get out of the house and escape my reality that was my marriage. Not that I had a bad marriage. I just felt unfulfilled because I had a partner that didn't participate in my hobby. Now, this can happen to anybody, like any kind of hobby, right?
Sure.
Or any kind of I don't want to call it obsession, but people that get into stuff, they could really lose their partner because they're not into that. Okay, so what I started to do was to pull away from my relationship and focus on what I wanted to do with the people that I wanted to do that. And it was getting noticeably tense in my house, especially because of the financial situation. Like, I'm spending all this money on myself, and we're spending time apart, which kind of led me down this like kind of like a selfish road, I would say, where I was finding people that I wanted to be with, and I didn't want to necessarily be with my spouse, and only because I was just focusing on my training and my accomplishments and the hoopla that comes with ultra running. But what it turned out to do was really open up my eyes and really reflect and really focus in on what's important in my life. That being said, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't something that I think I want to ever do again. But I think we had to have a sit down and talk about it, because there were times where I was just not myself. And I think that's not the person that my wife deserves. My wife deserves my honest, true self. And so I had a lot of reflecting to do. And in that sense, in that regard, I also had to point out like why this happened. And the why was that I go out to these races, I go out to these training runs, and I do all this ultra lifestyle, because it is a lifestyle. And what I realized was that I was always doing it by myself. I said, look, some of these events are non-running. You just volunteer and fill out, drink cups, or you clean up or whatever. Or sometimes you just pay somebody, or sometimes you're just there to cheer on your friend. You just show up for a couple hours. And I wasn't even getting that from my partner. That was not her thing. And I get it. But I couldn't understand why. We're in pretty environments. Sometimes the weather sucks. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the days are so beautiful, I can't imagine wanting to stay indoors. And my partner was not really into that. So I got like a little irritated and a little rebellious, I would say. And that's what I said. I said, why can't you just support me that way? I'm not asking you to run anything, 0 miles. I'm just asking you to come with me and be around my friends and meet some people and just be there. I'm not even asking you to, cheer on anybody. Just be there and sit in a chair. I see this everywhere. You go to races, you see the spouse, you see the family, you see the kids, the dogs, the grandma, everybody. I was there alone. I've been doing this thing alone for so many years. So we had that talk, and that talk turned into, okay, I'll come out. And I did see some turn on my wife's side, and it was really appreciated. She came out. She supported me at a couple of races this last year. And when I mean support, she cheers me on. She listens to me talk. And when I mean cheer, I mean she's like, okay, you're here, And I'm like, okay, that's as much as I'm going to get. That's fine. Thanks. And then she drops me off and picks me up later. Is that enough? I'll take it. It's not the way it used to be, or I would just head out the door and we'd be apart. At least now I know she's nearby. She picks me up, she drops me off, and then we plan something after. Wisconsin's a beautiful place. Michigan, is a beautiful place. Even in parts of Illinois, you run Illinois and you could just spend the whole weekend there. wherever there is. And then travel races. We planned recently to go to Arizona. She had some family there. I wanted to run the Javelina race again, and I did it again, and it was fantastic. I mean, we really had a nice time, minus the uncomfortable heat.
Yeah.
But it was, that's my jam. Being really, really uncomfortable, whether it's hot or cold, hot. And she is how she is, and I won't want to change her. She's not comfortable being uncomfortable. You and I, maybe we lean into that, but some people just don't, and that's okay. So I made it as comfortable for her, and then a little family event. So I'm hoping to bridge that gap, Jen. I'm hoping that my story resonates with other people and says, look, you got to find some sort of common ground. You're not gonna get a crew chief extraordinaire, and if you do see that in another couple, what do they say? Jealousy robs you of your happiness, or something. Envy.
Yeah.
Don't let that happen. Just focus in on the things that are important to you and how you can use those to succeed on your own. And sometimes there's a satisfaction to succeeding all on your own. You started something on your own, you finished it on your own. You didn't need help from anybody, although the help is always welcomed in there. It's appreciated. I come home now from these little races, and I have a sense of accomplishment when I finish. I've been finishing a lot of things lately, but that Kettle Moraine race this summer is going to really be the big test. And then other things we were talking about earlier, the bigger goals, and the bigger goals cost a lot of money. So to finish what I was saying was that the financial situation. So we had this conversation yesterday. So my money, her money is our money. Like, so if I was a millionaire and she wasn't a millionaire, it's our money, but then I went to my work and I go, hey guys, what do you think about this? Do you guys think that your money should be your money and her money should be her money? And they're like, I don't know. And then my meathead work friends are like, yeah, if you work overtime, that's your play money. And I'm like, that's what I thought. But that's not really how that works. That money goes into the kitty, which goes into the household, and then that gets spread around. And if there's any money left over for hobbies, i.e. my running hobby and her travel hobby, that's how we get it from there. So what I just got to do is find a way to budget for all these runs and training time and these events, so that there's a balance between what I like to do and what she likes to do. So that's just my life. I think it's working right now, as long as I don't go overboard. And sometimes I go overboard.
That's all right.
I like to ramble.
I like what you said about the money. That's an issue, and for me, I can identify with is people sometimes have a hard time when I say I have to go work extra for like my race coming up next year, and they're like, why? And I'm like, I pay for my stuff on my own. So all my races and stuff, I have to. That does not come out of the household budget. That has to come out of the fun budget. And so I sometimes get kind of upset because I have to go make my own fun budget money and it can't come out of my other work money, but he has hobbies and it just comes out of our budget. So sometimes I'm like, hey, how is that fair? But whatever. Okay. I'll leave that. But what I really want to know, you were going, and I love how you're very open about this. You're like, I was a little selfish. But what was there something that happened, like a breaking point or a moment that made you open your eyes and go, wait a minute, what made you just stop and say, I'm literally running from my house right now, and I need to like communicate and talk to my spouse, and and what was the thing that made you turn around and change things?
Okay, so my wife is not a demonstrative person. She's more of a quiet, conserved person. And then she looked at me after like probably a rough week where I was being bratty and ignorant. I'm not gonna deny it. And she finally says, I've been nothing but good to you. And that really sunk in, because she was very good to me. She's like, I'm not one of your friends that you can expect to run with you. I'm not going to do those things. I don't do that. But I've been nothing but a good wife to you and a good mother to our family. And it really sunk in. I go, yeah, you have been, and I can't expect to ruin your life, but because it would ruin her life and ruin ours to just be with my friends. Like when I was a teenager, all I wanted to do was run away from home, run, get out of the house. And every relationship that I ever had before my wife, I ran away from. I just ruined. I was a terrible person, to try to settle down with. And it wasn't until I met her and then we had a family. And even then, the first 25 years of our relationship were tumultuous. I was in and out of the bars, and everybody knows that. I kind of like selfishly indulged myself for 25 years until I found running and I quit drinking. And she said that. She says, I was with you those 25 years. I was by your side. I could have left so many times because you were selfish, and I'm still here. And that was it. So to answer your question, it really sunk in those few little words, this is your life, Oscar. This is the moment where the dramatic music plays. And your significant other looks at you, and you have to make a decision. Are you a caring and considerate person, or are you you're gonna put up your armor and defend yourself? No, I'm a considerate, caring person, and I thought that moment was the moment.
Wow, that's deep. I mean, how great that you listened.
Yeah.
Oof. You're covering so many of my questions, like conflict and compromise. What are the biggest arguments you've had that stemmed from running, and how do you resolve it? But it's a give and take. You've learned from your mistakes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I made almost all the mistakes, some mistakes I might never come back from, and I don't want to make those. So I have to be aware and be knowledgeable of those things that are coming ahead, so that I don't fall into. I call them trapdoors. Those are trapdoors that I was always falling through. Like, oh, here's another trapdoor. Go around it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got to better yourself a little bit every day. That's key too.
So what are you going to do now for your time management? So like, what are you thinking to balance racking up miles, training and races, and being with your family?
Okay, so I told you I work nights, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of don't like it because it's stressful on my body and my mind. But it gives me time to have dinner every night with my wife, 7 days a week, unless I'm out at a race, and that's important because she's a 9 to 5, 8 to 4 person, So I train in the morning, I sleep during the afternoons, and I get up for dinner, and we have this quality time. So that's good. And what I have to do is stay on nights. As much as I would like to be a day person with the regular people, I can't. I have to stay on these night shifts. Not to mention my days off are Friday and Saturday for now. So I have Friday to myself, which is nice, right? I get to do all the running, and actually Thursday morning, Thursday afternoons, I could do it too. But I have to be ready, to do anything that she asks me to do on Saturday and Sunday with the family. So that's really, and then we have a calendar. We have a Google Calendar. I put my stuff in there. She sees it. She knows. She asks. We communicate. She texts. A lot of things are like, "What are you doing this day? What are you doing that day?" Because I want to do something. Can and what I really like is that she got out of her box where she has more friends now. She I don't know if it was in retaliation. I wouldn't say retaliation. I would say in contrast to my going out with all my friends, she's made friends. And I told her, it's not wrong to have friends. Go out and do stuff with them. So she has some of her own lifestyle to do now too.
I like the Google Calendar idea, to share that with everyone. That's great, because I too came up with, started realizing that was a great idea, because it would be like, hey, when can we go up north to see the grandkids? Hey, when can we this? When can we that? What's your weekends like? And I'm like, open the Google Calendar and share it. And he's like, oh, I keep Saturday mornings free unless there's a race, and he knows. I mean, because it's not like there's races all the time. There are times when it gets kind of busy with the volunteering, and I'm like, hey, we're getting into race season, so let's make the most of our time, and it's quality time before and after that busy time. But I think Google Calendar is really great for people to hear. The other guests before you had also talked about sharing maps, because their spouse wanted to know for safety purposes where they're at when they're training, because if something were to happen. These are all great ideas for people when you're having some issues at home, and just to give that little bit of ease of mind, Yeah. I like this. So does your partner, does she get excited about your wins now a little bit? I mean,
like I said, she's not a demonstrative person.
Yeah.
It's at this point, it's like, if I finish a race, it's like nothing changed. Okay. And sometimes there's a struggle to finish,
Mm-hmm.
If I DNF something,
that's a win, by the way, in my world, when we finish.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Right. And, if I DNF something, which I haven't in a couple years, she'll ask why, and then she'll be like, okay. But that's, like I said, this is not her life. This is not her lifestyle. Yep. She doesn't understand that I need 15 pairs of shoes to rotate through them. She doesn't understand, why I have a cabinet full of gels and loops. She's just like, okay. And like, I don't understand her hobbies. Like she loves fishing and country music and this sitting on the porch. I don't get that. I just don't, but it's okay. So yeah, does she get excited? I don't think so. I just think she's like, she asks like, how did you do? Did you finish? Like, yeah, I finished. Okay, good.
It's a courtesy. Yeah. Feels like
would I love an extreme reaction? I would be surprised. Yeah, that would be shocking.
Be like, who are you?
Right. Yeah. Where's my wife?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
fair. So I think because they don't get it, they don't understand the work that goes into finishing those things, or to even get to the starting line. Sometimes they're just like, I'll come home and it's like, I remember coming home from he woke up to me being on the recliner from Frozen the butt, and I signed up for the 12 hours, and I think we left at like 9 or 10 hours, and I was frozen, and I still had I like a heating blanket on, and I'm like, so miserable. When he woke up, he's like, well, that's your fault. I mean, that was the response. And then I said, when I left, he goes, you didn't finish 12 hours? And I go, no. So you didn't do it. And I'm like,
I only ran 9, 10.
I'm like, well, I just wanted 30 some miles. So I was like, and that was it, and you're like, oh. Coming back from dyno in Texas, good job.
Yeah,
you look like crap. Yeah, and then you look like crap, and you're like, love you too. You know what I mean? It's just like, all right then. I actually love dyno. All right. So what kind of advice do you have to ultra runners who are struggling to maintain that harmony?
The household harmony should be your priority. So if you have the means, I would say sign up for something, and I would say make it important. Say, look, this is important to me. It could be a 5K, it could be a 500-mile race, but you have to make sure that your voice is heard. Mm-hmm. Why are you signing up for something that's going to take you away from your household, your family, if it's not more important than them? It's not your whole life, but it makes you who you are. It fulfills you. It enriches you. It gives you fills you up with joy and pride. Even if you don't finish, you tried. It's better than zero. I always say you're doing something more than 0 miles. You're trying, and that should be important to them. If they don't see that, if they don't agree that this is important to them, I hear this. Some of my poor friends who've lost their spouses permanently for reasons like this. I said, that person didn't deserve you. Mm-hmm. You're a different person than them. I don't want to think how they are. I don't know how they are, but to me, a person that prioritizes your health with a safe and healthy habit over all the other things in this world that you can do with your time that are detrimental. You prioritized it by challenging yourself and experiencing joy with other people, whether it's on the trail or on the roads or whatever. This is your life and your hobby. It's a great hobby. I would recommend it to anybody. Even any kind of a positive outlet is a good hobby or a good way to spend your time. And if those other people don't see that, I don't want to advise you what to do, but you have to really look and say, is this the right person for me? Even if you started out with a great relationship and people change. I've seen this once in a while where the person used to be like this and now they're like this. I heard a horrible story of a triathlete who got hit by a car. And then later the wife of the triathlete said, I didn't sign up for this. You're paralyzed. I'm not going to take care of you. I'm out. And I'm like, wow, man, that's not love. That's not what you signed up for. That's not true love. So if you do have an issue with somebody that's not squaring up with you, have that uncomfortable conversation. Let me tell you, my conversation with my wife was very scary and uncomfortable, but now we have a very strong and meaningful relationship. I think it's even stronger than it used to be. I think that we understand each other more and why we do our lives the way we are. The way we do.
I like it. So be ready to have the hard conversations that you need to have sometimes.
Definitely.
Yeah. Do you have any, I got a question. Have you ever tried to get your wife to join you on a run?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. So, running is walking and walking is running. Yep. So I said to her, you could pace me the last, 3 miles, the last 2 miles, if that's the case. Like even Kettle, I think Kettle has a 5 mile section right before the finish, but it's really tough. So I said, no, forget that. So, yeah. Have I tried? Yeah, I think I have said, like, get your walking stride up. Can you walk 3 miles an hour? That's 20-minute miles, and you can join me, for a little while, it'll be fun. But no, I have not succeeded in that yet. But we do walk for exercise, for our own selves around the neighborhood, like a couple. But no, not in our sport yet.
Good luck there. Do you have any other advice for people?
No, I just kind of like if people ask me like about how I do things, this is how I do them. I don't like giving advice because I made a lot of mistakes, Jen, in my life, tons, and I wasted a lot of time and money, but that's okay. I would just say that be aware of other people's, be aware of how other people see you. Have some self-awareness. And because sometimes you're so busy with yourself, you're so busy with all the things you do, and you forget, like, how do people perceive me? Some people are like, I don't care how people look. I don't give a shit how people think of me. No, it's like it ends up how you carry yourself. And if you carry yourself well, and I think you'll find that it's a little more comfortable in the world, around other people. And these days we have all these issues, everywhere you look. Just be aware of how you interact and talk to people. It's not easy. It's not perfect, but you should try to be nice, to everybody. All That's right. It.
I like it. Thank you so much for being on the podcast and sharing everything.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
And I'll put everyone's together. I think this is going to be really great stuff for people going through some of the stuff, and just trying to keep a healthy relationship with both running and their family. So
that's right.
All right. Thank you. Till next time.
Jen.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
This is great stuff. Okay. So up next we have Natalie. I'm not even going to try and say her last name because I botch names so bad. But y'all know Natalie. You've seen her around at Hennepin 100 and all the races. That amazing smile. If you don't know Natalie, you're missing out. If you're from the area, for those not from the area, then you need to come here and come run our races so you can meet all these awesome faces. Natalie is a coach with Henri Mule Racing. All right, here we go. Talk with Natalie. Let's do this. Okay, welcome to the podcast. We have Natalie today. Hi.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hello.
And it's a dreary Monday morning or almost afternoon.
Yes.
Do you get any miles today with the rain?
I only got one streak mile and then a mile with my dogs, and then I went swimming. So
Ooh.
I'm trying to prioritize swimming every Monday, and the goal is 30 minutes. So the first week was 15 and this week was 20, and hopefully we're going to get up to that 30 minutes.
Nice. I did my 1 mile streaking and I was like, oh, I'm going to hurry up and get it before the rain. So today's kind of an off day. So I was like, thank you. So
it was not raining at 5 a.m.
No, yep, it was not raining early this morning, so I hurried up. And I'm an early riser, and that was to my benefit today. So, yeah.
I am very pleased because in the past year, just with all of the upheaval in my life, I was struggling with my very regular 4 a.m. get up, go and do the things. And finally this morning, my alarm didn't go off, and my eyes just opened at 4 a.m. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm back. I've returned to my former self. So that was wonderful.
Yeah. It's nice, but like on the weekend, I'm like 3:30, 4 a.m. I'm up. I'm like, why are you like this? Why can't you just sometimes sleep in? But then I'm like, go get the things done. Go do it. All right. So Natalie, we're going to talk about what we're talking about. The subject is balancing relationships and running, ultra running, because we're just weird and sometimes get obsessive about running. But also, I was kind of thinking, I just kind of dawned on me, we're both coaches, and sometimes we're matching.
I love it.
We both
love it so much.
Yeah, we both have our Hennepin 100 shirts on. But you probably maybe have had this come up with coaching, even having to have your athletes have to work their long runs around sometimes their family and stuff too. So who don't run.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just, it's a thing. So that's what the podcast is. And, I'm kind of getting a couple, things a couple people have brought up that has been nice to be like, oh yeah. Like, Oscar shared about shared calendar, Google Calendar of like, I should put all my races out there so that my significant other can see what's happening when they want to plan stuff. I'm like, that's a good idea.
That is a good idea.
Yeah, another one had a shared maps, so tracking for safety purposes. So when they're out on long runs, their person can be like at least know where they're at because they have concerns. I'm like, that's a good idea just for that, So just some neat stuff too. It's not all bad. So,
yeah.
I mean, and there are some things that I could, and maybe I'll share on my own where I'm just like, ugh. But yeah. So my first question is, how do you balance your time between training for ultras and spending quality time with non-running people? How do you do that?
It can be difficult. So I also have a lot of children that I also have to manage with the running. So I tend to try and get as much done when everybody else is sleeping as humanly possible. And I also include all of my walking and running and swimming and biking miles. I don't believe in junk miles, but I end up having to do a lot of back-to-backs because there's just not a lot of time to do, 6 hours, 8-hour runs in my life. But my previous spouse was very unsupportive. He didn't have too much issue with me being gone when he was sleeping. His issue was more, oh, she's having a great time training. She seems to be doing better. I should order pizza.
He was a sabotager.
Yeah, 100%.
That is in my questions, but as number 3, but yeah, I mean, like, sabotaging. And I feel like sometimes I can't tell if it's intentional or are they just not thinking. Like,
I felt like for me, it was totally intentional. Like if I started to lose weight or get faster, it was always like filling the food. Like he didn't even go grocery shopping. I was the one who did all the grocery shopping. But if I started to do better, he would then go and buy a bunch of things and put them in the cupboard, things that I would never buy, but that I find irresistible, like ice cream and sugary cereals and stuff like that. And then be like, what? I don't understand. The kids like it, but my kids don't really eat like that either. So it was targeted.
Oh man. Well, I mean, another question I have is, did your clean eating ever clash with your partner? But you're saying, yeah, it did. So
all the time. He stopped even eating with us because the kids like healthy foods and he just didn't. So he just stopped eating whatever we were eating. And, I don't have time to force other adults to eat healthy. Everyone's got to make their own food choices. I got one kid who's a vegetarian and I'm supportive. And, we just try and include as many fruits and vegetables as possible. And my kids all like to cook. So I'm teaching them to cook the same things that I want to eat. I think the biggest thing with food is I have to hide things because they steal from me. So I can't keep protein shakes out and about. They will take them. They like gels and things like that. I like to buy just big, like rotisserie chickens. Like, you know, I started with one rotisserie chicken a week, but then as I noticed my chicken was going missing, now we're up to, I think, 4 rotisserie chickens that just have to sit in the fridge, because if I buy less, then they will steal it and I won't have anything to eat because I'm big on protein. So it's kind of funny.
That is funny, because you're like, who stole my chicken?
Yeah, 100%. And there's like a kid with greasy fingers. I don't know.
I don't think I'd ever have to worry about somebody stealing my chicken. But I can say that I've sometimes questioned, like, coming home from Costco and being like, hey, I bought this whole box of this. And I'm like, why? I don't want to be eating that. Like, and then I will be on a hormonal week going, oh, but now it looks really good. And I'm like, I must have this. I must partake. And I'm like, damn it, Scott. Like, I didn't want that, but maybe I did. I don't, it's a struggle. And I don't know. I want to think the intention is good, because his love language is food. So I'm just like, he's a big foodie, and I'm just trying to, like, no, I can't do that. But
well, and I've experienced both ends of the spectrum, because my new partner is really supportive of my running. He'll come for short runs. He doesn't necessarily want to get into trail running himself yet. But he's very supportive. And when I say, I can't eat this or I shouldn't be eating that, we went on a trip to visit his family, and, his parents are showering me with delicious things. His aunt made me a caramel apple pie from scratch because she heard that I liked caramel apple pie. She got like eggs from the chickens and apples from outside in her garden. And then I came the next morning and there's this pie with like sangria, and it's warm, and there's ice cream, and she's like pouring the caramel on it. And he's like, you guys, she's not supposed to have gluten or sugar. And they're like, leave her alone. Look how happy she is. And like, no one judged me. I ate 3/4 of that pie, and no one judged me. And I have not eaten any pie since, because it was so delicious that I couldn't even handle it. But he tried to like protect me from myself. And I was like, get out of here. In fact, give me your pie. I have a picture of it saved in my favorites in my phone.
That is amazing. Well, and also I feel like there are moments when I just want to indulge. And I've said, like, oh, I'm never going to always just be that person who's like, I'm always going to eat really clean and always train really hard. I'm like, no, I'm going to be naughty. I need a naughty day. And my husband's always like, I'm here for it. I'm here for you. What do you want to do? You know what I mean? Because he's such a hardcore foodie, I feel bad, because that balancing act is he wants to go to a supper club in a couple of weeks, and he's all excited. He has plans. He was going to surprise me, but he started realizing with the calendar dates that I was running an event, a 10-miler the next day. I'm like, I can't eat at a supper club the night before. I mean, it's 10 miles, but I have a really finicky stomach. So if I do that and load up on supper club food and then go run 10 miles in the morning, it doesn't always do well for me. So I'm just like, no. I feel bad.
I don't know if I've ever had supper club food, but couldn't you just analyze the menu and figure out what would work for you for the next day?
Usually there's like 4 or 5 choices on it, and it's just heavy food. It's just, supper club food is just that steak and that would be fine, but I'm such a pizza person. I feel like I'm Sheldon in the fact that I always eat pizza before long runs. I never differ from this. So a creature of habit I am, and it's incredibly annoying, and I'm sure it drives him nuts. But when I said, well, I've got 10 miles, and he's like, oh shit, I went to supper club. I'm like, well, I'm not gonna eat the fried chicken, I can maybe eat the prime rib, but it's always that.
Could you do it that night, like the day of your run? Could you eat there then? Because then you need to refuel.
I think it's that Friday night. There's a fish fry or something. I don't know. I don't know what his plans are, but sometimes I'm just like, or when I do have a race the next day, I'm like, oh, hell no. Then it's a hardcore no. You know what I mean? I'm like, nope, I got to eat my pizza. I got to hydrate, and I got to be in bed at 7:30. So
100%. I'm really good. The 4 weeks before a race because I suffer from inflammation. So I'll be like, okay, no gluten, no sugar, no dairy. I'll stay off of everything just because I want to come in and feel good, you know, and then directly after I'm like, please give me all of those items and just put them on my bed. I would like to lay in bed with toast, chips,
100%. Yes. Yep.
Twizzlers.
Yep. Same. I can't.
Just-
Gluten, I notice, is a big problem. Yet I eat pizza the night before. But I'm like, I'm so good. And then, like, you know, and then after a race, I'm like, I don't care. It's done. Give me everything. And then I wonder why I have to take so long to rebuild afterwards. After time off.
But I mean, you're hungry. You're hungry.
Oh my gosh. I think we were in a rut, or we were walking through the gas station. I'm like, I could eat the ass out of a cow. And an old lady looked over at me. I'm like, I'm sorry. I was so hungry.
So my first ultra ever, my friend who arranged, she wanted me to do the race. She said she was going to train with me. She didn't have time to do that, but she did run the race with me. And then a couple other friends showed up, and then they took me to a Brazilian steakhouse right after. And I ate so much. I was sick before I even left the restaurant. Like, I was sick for days. I think I ate my weight in meat. There was a huge salad bar, and these guys with skewers of meat were just like walking around.
They're just walking by.
It was,
yeah. Would you like some more meat? Well, yes, I will. Would you like some more? Yes, I will. Yes. Would you like some more? Yes. I am here for the meat sweats. Let's do it. You know what I mean? Like 100%. Yeah. I've been there, and it's so amazing. But last time I went there, all I could think was Bridesmaids. I can never not think of Bridesmaids. You know that movie, right?
I've never seen it. I don't watch a lot of TV, and if I do, I prioritize science fiction.
Okay, so that's an older one, and it's they ate at a Brazilian steakhouse, and they got the raging shits from it. I mean, we're talking classic epic scenes that I, to this day, I think I've watched it several times. If I'm in a depressed mode, I will watch it just to laugh. Where she's running out of the road and she's pooping her pants in a wedding dress, actually. She's like, it's coming out of me like lava. You know, I mean, like,
oh my gosh.
You know, and it's just like, you know, they're fighting over the bathroom. Yeah. The one lady's going in the sink and she's like, look away. You know, like, don't make eye contact with me. Like, one's on the toilet, one's on the sink.
That is very accurate.
Yeah.
Very
accurate. And here's me. Yeah, I'll take some more meat. Yes, I'll take some more meat. And I'm like, oh, thank God we have 2 bathrooms at home, right? And he's just like, oh my gosh, that's what you're going with this? I'm like, Bridesmaids, it's going to go down. Like, it's happening.
100%. Now I feel like I should watch that movie so I can
if you do,
some trauma.
I'm going to need a text. You're going to be like, it's coming out of me like lava. Oh my gosh, it's the best. You got to watch Bridesmaids. All right. Okay. So we kind of hit the support or sabotage. Did you ever have support? You do now.
I do now. My ex liked to say that he was very supportive, but like he wouldn't come to a race unless there was free beer. And one time when I was running a race, he came afterwards. He was like, I was so worried about you. It took you so long. Like, I thought they should send like maybe a search party or some police. Like, I was really concerned. It just took you so long. I thought that you would be one of the first ones to finish. And I was like, I didn't even finish. Like, it wasn't even that. I was mid-pack. Like, but it was so passive aggressive. Like, it just took me years and years. And it wasn't even that long of a race. I want to say it was like a half marathon. Like, you weren't there all day. So that wasn't great. But my children are great supporters. Like, I did the Baldwin Yielding Twilight Trail, and 2 of my sons showed up to just be helpful, you know, work at the aid station and stuff like that. Every loop, they were like, Mom, how are you doing? Are you feeling good? You know, do you need anything? Do you need a snack? I did the one in Bellevue, the 10 junk miles race one time, just unprompted, just decided to show up. And my daughter stayed in a little tent and, you know, kept feeding me snacks throughout the whole thing without being asked. So they are great about it. If I need company on some sort of run, just because most of the time I run by myself, but if I need company, one of them will be like, oh, I'll do it. I'll come with you. And when we went to Las Vegas, I had to run my streak runs, and we were doing mostly hiking together. But the boys didn't want me to run by myself during the streak. They said it was too hot. So one of them would always come with me. Aww. So that was it was adorable.
You have really great kids too, because I remember that you guys when I did my Hempen 100, you guys have the aid station there, and the kids were there. And then I remember one of your sons fed me at Bald Unyielding at the butt race.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Helped out. He was helping. So, I mean, that's really great to have the kids there doing that stuff.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I love it. The little girls all say they're going to run ultras. The boys don't talk much about it, but the little girls, they are all convinced.
That's awesome. Are you going to do, speaking of Bald Unyielding, the butt race,
Yes.
Bald Unyielding Twilight
Trail. Yes.
Time, whatever.
Bald Unyielding Twilight Trail.
Was there 3 T's in there?
Bald Unyielding. Yeah. Bald Unyielding. B-U-T-T. Twilight Trail.
It's 3 T's. I can never do it. There's a time in there. Time.
I don't know.
Anyway, are you going to be there?
That is my plan. That is one of my planned races for this year. I have not signed up for it. I've only signed up for Potawatomi, but it is on my list of things to do.
Ooh, Potawatomi. That's right. What have you signed up for?
Oh my gosh. I signed up for the 150.
Woo! Yeah. All right.
Which is so strange because the whole time I was running the 100, I kept saying, I only have to do this one time. I never have to come back. And I said goodbye to all of the hills. And so I don't know what happened.
Yeah, that race amnesia is so fun. So it's so great. I love it.
Everyone was so supportive.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy who crewed me, and I also was very conservative, and so I was disappointed in my time. But the guy who crewed me did an amazing job. It was his first time crewing. He was so incredible. And he's like, I would love to come back. And then Vivian said she would come and do a loop with me. And then Dawn said she'd do a loop with me. And, a lot of the Yetis expressed that I did not do a great job asking for help, and that they were disappointed in me for not asking for pacers. And so, even though some of them did pace me and did a fantastic job. So, I need to do a better job this year and make sure I invite all of my friends to join in the fun. So I think a lot of it is just, I think I can do better and have a better experience and include more people.
That is great. Oh, that's so exciting. Oh, man.
And no one in my county has that jacket. No one.
No.
No one. If you're slower, you just have to go farther, and then nobody else wants to do it, and that's how you win.
Yep, that is. Just keep going the distance. All right. What is the biggest argument you've had that stemmed from your running? How did you resolve it? Conflict or compromise, or conflict and compromise?
The biggest argument for my running, I think probably travel.
Oh,
is probably the biggest argument. Sometimes my ex-husband acts like, well, you've been gone all year. And I'm like, well, I did 3 races. So I wasn't gone all year. He doesn't really like to have to take on the children. I'm very blessed in that our running community is so incredibly supportive. Mm-hmm. On the times when I have had to leave the state. Mm-hmm. A lot of times my friends will pick up the slack and take care of the kids. You know what I mean? Like mm-hmm. a couple over here and a couple over there. People have been wonderful, up to and including the race director for the butt run. James has been really great. He's got kids around the same age, and he took some of my kids to Wisconsin with him while I was doing a race one time. So that has been the biggest problem, just the travel. Who's going to take care of the dogs? Who's going to take care of the kids? Why are you going to do this? It's not that important. And I'm like, I feel like it is. So that's probably, and also the amount of running shoes. I got to the point where I would find them on sale and I would buy them and then I would hide them. Mm-hmm. I would just, stack boxes in weird places and be like, no, those are just empty boxes. I don't have to do that anymore. But a lot of times he would say that all of the money and time and effort was going to just my hobby, my sport. And then I would say something like, okay, well, what do you want to do? And he said he wanted to bike. So I invested money in a great bike for him, tried to change my schedule. What days would you like to bike? Did everything to make it so you can bike. I would love to be supportive of this also. And he was a very large man, so it had to be like a special bike for somebody who's so tall. And he only rode the bike 3 times.
Oh.
So yeah, it's my son's bike now. My son is 6'7" now.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you tell me there's a problem, I will try to resolve it. If you tell me I'm making things difficult for you, I will try my best to fix it. Mm-hmm. But it clearly was not a problem. It was just something to complain about.
Mm-hmm. Traveling is, I I think a big one for a lot of people, for ultra runners, because there's also that when there's a joint income in a relationship, they're like, well, why are you spending the money on a travel? It's seen as a vacation, which, I mean, essentially, it's kind of, we sometimes try and turn it into somewhat of a vacation, but are we having a whole lot of fun out there?
Not necessarily. There's fun moments.
Yeah. It's creating a memory and it's a goal, but I don't look at it as the same, but, and the travel expenses going out and, the stays and then, food, all that. That's one I've actually heard a lot of people, and that's one I've heard in our household is you're spending a lot of money, traveling. And it's like, well, let's negotiate that, So, and I've said on the previous one, for me, I have to, do a side job to pay for my expenses on that, because it will not come out of our household budget. So it's just like, but sometimes I will be honest on this podcast, because I like to keep it very real, is sometimes there's some resentment, because I'm like, wait a minute, your hobby is coming out of our budget. So,
yeah,
see,
and I value experiences over things.
Mm-hmm.
So I would very much be comparing, the consumables that you're maybe using in your hobby versus my travel and running shoes for my hobby, just because I'm not that interested in having items around the house. And I know some people are, but I would rather go and see something and take 49 selfies in California, you know what I mean? And run for a little while and come back.
Yeah. I'm all about, making the memories, doing the things, checking the things off the goals list. I finish every 100 is such an experience, not just finishing the finish line, but the training leading up to it. There's always something I'm going through, or I'm working on, or, it just makes you a better person. I feel like going through the training, and it's just hard to explain to someone who doesn't run, is there's so much that goes into that. And then and I look at, well, you're hunting or your bourbon bottles. I have a hard time with it, but it's a compromise. We compromise.
Compromise is not always easy. I think I'm at the point where I want everyone to have something that's really, really important to them. So you don't have to be into my sport, but you should be into something.
Amen.
And I think that was probably the biggest problem. They just didn't have anything that they were super into, that they loved to consume them. And so then it created a bit of resentment because I did. And so I would always encourage everybody to try and find what it is that sets your soul on fire. So then you will be busy also doing that. And then we can come back together and discuss the things that we love, instead of being upset about what the other person's doing.
Yeah. And I don't think you should depend on your partner to make you happy. And so you should do that on your own. And I always point that out, go find your own hobby and make yourself happy. Don't depend on me and me to be by your side to make you happy all the time. But and then when we're done doing our things, we have that beautiful time together to talk about our things. I like it. And what you nailed it. I mean, it comes down to jealousy sometimes. Well, don't get jealous of my hobby. Go do your own. Find your thing.
Right.
Whatever it is. Don't have to be running,
There's so much in the world to explore.
Yes.
There
is so much to do and see. I love it. All right. Time management. Kind of, you hit that. For you, it's early in the morning, because a lot of it has to do with the kids, right?
It does. And actually, since I've been divorced, I used to homeschool. So now the kids are all in school. So I have 4 different schools, 4 different start times, 4 different finish times, 3 different buses, 2 that I have to drive to school. So my time has completely changed. The people who've been seeing me at the Y at 5 a.m. for years are like, where are you? What are you doing? And whereas I might have had 3 hours before in the morning, now I've got an hour and a half, and then I got to get everybody to where they're going, and then fit in something else, and then get some schoolwork done, and then fit it in later. And if I miss something, then I have to come back in the night, which I do not want to do. But so I have to be so on top of my schedule. Every single minute counts. So if I sleep in, I am then tacking on a task to the end of my day. And as you get older, you have to prioritize sleep. And so I don't want to tack on tasks to the end of my day, because then there's no time for something like reading or just laying down and vegetating and staring at a wall. You know what I mean? It's always go, go, go. And it's, I make sure on my alarm, everything has to be done in a certain way. I get up, I make my bed, I load the dishwasher, so the kids know they have to make sure the dishwasher's unloaded so I can reload it. I'll switch a load of laundry. I go to the gym. I come back, get people their medications on the bus, then I'm walking the dogs, then I'm taking the next ones to school, and then I'm starting my schoolwork or whatever else. On top of, everybody in the house has ADHD. So that means everybody has to have a doctor's appointment every 3 months on top of everything else you might need to do.
Good Lord. I'm exhausted. Just like, wow. Good for you.
Yeah.
You're magical. That's pretty awesome.
Well, I've started wearing sparkles. You see that business?
Didn't they say if you put sparkles on, it hides the bags under our eyes?
Yeah, that's what I said the other day.
Is it you?
Jen Cleaner Coyote, brought some sparkles to Kettle, and she put them on me. I've been addicted to them ever since. My boyfriend was like, you don't have to wear those every day. And I was like, but I can.
Brenda, she did her 100K at Hindsight, and she had sparkles. And I said, well, do you have a trail name? And she said, no. I said, well, you do now, Sparkles. And so kept calling her Sparkles. But then her daughter's like, everybody on her team is going to be Sparkles. So her daughter put Sparkles under all of us. And I got home so tired and woke and didn't take anything off, and woke up, and my husband were having coffee, and he goes, do you have sparkles under your eyes? And I said, yeah. He goes, were you at a race or a strip joint? And I said, got to make money somehow. You got to pay for those races. You at a race or a strip joint?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, don't think none of us have thought about it being like selling some toe pitchers to pay for the races.
Oh my gosh. I tell you what, I knew some ladies back in the day, and I don't think any of us are fit enough to join their profession. Like, honestly,
I'm just saying OnlyFans or whatever for feet. Like, you want to see some nasty, anybody want to see some nasty foot pictures? Because I feel like there's somebody's out there, and I got some nasty ones for you. Missing some toenails.
Maybe this is a business opportunity. Ultra Runner Feet, we could literally go to the races and just snap photos and just keep, uploading them. There's a lot to be seen there.
Oh my gosh, like when they're unveiling their thing, like, ooh, that's nasty. Can I just take a picture of that? Yeah. Give me a little side shot. Yeah. Oh yeah, make some money. There's somebody out there. There's gotta be.
There's somebody out there, there is.
Somebody's writing this down.
Looking at them, so I would not be the most help because I have trouble, even if I'm supposed to be being helpful. I'm like, is there someone else on the crew who can deal with the foot? I don't want to.
I don't know. I think I should create an account and be like nastyultrarunnerfeet.com or something, and then just post it, because like the pimple popper people, they're like got a bunch of videos and people love watching that, and we could just be unveiling disgusting feet for people could be like, ooh, like it's like fireworks, but the opposite, where it's like, ooh.
I think monetizing the things you are already involved with is a really smart strategy. So there's nothing wrong with this, and I think it bears looking into.
Somebody can take it. I'm good. All right. Celebrating wins. So did your partner ever get excited about your races, or was it just like?
No, he was not ever. No, the only people who've been excited have been my friends. I guess the kids. The kids like to talk about it, but they don't tell me, but they tell other people. So I'll hear from like a teacher, oh, your son has been talking about you all week that you were gone, running this race or whatever. So that's really nice. But no, he was not at all excited and didn't congratulate or anything like that. My new partner loves it and loves talking about it. I think he wants me to do more things so that he can talk about the things, which is great. It's really fun. He tells his family, and these people don't know anything about ultra running. So for me as a Leo, aka an attention whore, it's great. They want to know. So now we love, they say, how do you know someone runs ultras? Don't worry, they'll tell you. Mm-hmm. And if you have somebody who wants to hear your stories, it's wonderful. So that even my uncle, who I was close to as a child, the first 50K I ran, I called him in Canada and I was like, hey, I was so excited. Like, look, I did this thing. Like, I'm an adult. Someone praise me. Mm-hmm. And he was like, well, I guess I'm just not surprised, Natalie. I wanted you to ride bikes and I bought you bikes. And sometimes we'd go on a bike ride and you would just put the bike down and you would just start running in circles like a dog. So I guess I'm just not surprised. So there's nothing to be excited about here. I'm like, it's 31 miles. Like, it's a really long way, and it's just like, so.
These are bigger circles that I'm running.
Yeah, like they are bigger.
Oh.
like 10-mile circles. There was like 3 of them. And yeah, so no one's excited. My friends are excited. My children are a little bit excited. My new partner is excited. But for years, for the past 15, 17 years, there has been zero family excitement about this activity.
Okay. Will we be seeing your new guy maybe as a crew person?
I hope so. His job is pretty demanding and they move him a lot. So he's all over the country, but he does have Potawatomi on his calendar. And I would really like it if he would at least come to that one. We're going to see if he's in town for any of the other races. I've always said that he's welcome to come, but I mean, they take such a long time that I always feel like, will you be bored? But my friends are pretty entertaining. So something like Pine Town might be cool because, I mean, I'll be back in under 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Yeah. But the guy who crewed me for Potawatomi was so amazing. His name is Brock. And I mean, he has to be my crew person forever. He has to be my crew chief for the rest of my life. He was incredible. But I think they would really get along really well and have fun. So I'm hopeful that he will make it out. But I mean, that's 5 days of vacation just so that you can sit in the forest and wait for me to come back and, eat mashed potatoes. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to ask you, do you have advice for others who are struggling to maintain that harmony? But I think my biggest question is, and I'm wondering how many people have listened to this and are saying, I'm going to address the elephant in the room. And that is, do you feel like your partner, your last partner that you're no longer with, do you think that played a big role in part of your not being with them anymore, them not being supportive? Or was there a lot in it?
No, there was a lot of issues. There was a lot. I think probably issues with me being solely responsible for the children. Like he wasn't supportive in a lot of ways. That certainly didn't help. It was certainly on the list. Yeah. But I don't think.
But running didn't make or break this, is what I'm asking.
No, it didn't. I tried really hard to make time for them outside of running and make them feel important outside of running, time to spend together, which is why I tend to do everything when people are sleeping. Yeah. I think that it can be done, but you can't force someone to support you. And some people are completely committed to misunderstanding you. And so in that particular case where they don't want to make it work, it doesn't matter how many sacrifices you make, how much you prioritize them. It's not going to make a difference whatsoever. So if you're already in that situation, what do you do? But it's probably something worthwhile to evaluate with new partners, because it's not going to change. Whatever they're doing today is what they're going to do in 5 years, they're going to do in 10 years, and they're going to do in 20 years. So if they're not supportive now and they're like negging you and making snide comments about your long runs and your races, that's not going to change. So you might want to evaluate if it's worthwhile continuing on in that relationship.
I like that.
We don't have to have somebody who's into our sport.
No.
You know what I mean? And sometimes it's almost better if you don't. But you just want the person to celebrate your wins and be willing to support you and congratulate you when you do a good job, right? We're all just kindergartens who want a pat on the head,
Yeah, I just want to hear good job. Good job.
Literally. Yeah. That's it. Good job. Yeah. You did it. You know, I sent my best friend a screenshot of my grades. I just wanted a good job. That's all I really wanted. And back to what you were saying about people checking to see if you're safe. I mean, so there was a couple of times when I got in sticky situations where I would call or text needing assistance and he would not pick up and would not show up. And so I actually have a few friends who keep my location and stuff like that on. Like my friend Hadley has my location at all times and she knows my schedule very, very well. And so it's worthwhile if you're in a situation like that where they're not keeping tabs, which we should all be doing, especially when we're running in the dark, reach out to friends and make sure somebody has your location and can check if you're okay and can say, well, they were on 5th Street at 4 a.m. And that's the last they were there,
Yeah, I'm a big fan of sharing location when running, and I have it to my husband. He is often working in the Chicago area, so he's maybe hours away. So I actually have my location to him, and I don't share my location to Grace, but Grace on my watch, I usually wear 2, and I keep the Garmin on for that. I love Coros watch, but I like the Garmin for the safety features and some of the other numbers. And I like that if I have a fall incident, it'll call Grace. So, and she's in town, and I know that, and I also know that she knows if something happens, and say I'm in, like if I'm in Loudon Miller that has 26 miles and trails, I've told her, just call the Eddies, because they're going to find me way faster than Lee County Sheriff's Department is, because they're going to be like, they're not going to know those trails. But you get somebody like Keith Arand or whoever, they're going to blaze through there so fast. Like, I found her. You know what I mean? Like,
it's funny that you say that, because my son is going to be 18 in a couple of weeks, and he is obsessed with my location. And I think he's a long distance runner himself. He would absolutely find me wherever, because he has mastered the art of tracking me through my iPhone. I was on my way to Dixon to go on a run and just hang out with you guys one time, and I stopped to pick up flowers to give to somebody. I stopped in Byron, and he snuck up behind me and tapped me on the shoulder. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, what are you doing here? And he's like, I've been following you. And I was like, what's wrong with you? You followed me? Like, you've been following me for like 30 minutes, man? What are you doing? He goes, well, I saw on your map you were heading towards Dixon. So I knew you must be going running. And I wanted money. And I thought if I followed you to Dixon and went on a run with you, you'd be feeling kind of friendly towards me. And it'd be a good time to ask you for cash.
It's creative.
So I gave him cash right then, because I was like, what an awesome plan. And I also bought him some flowers to give to his girlfriend. And he also, on my first date with my partner, my current partner, he showed up and was like, he was like, what's she doing at that restaurant at this time? And he showed up and he was like, hi, I'm Cairo. And I was like, yeah, so this is my life. This guy here, he's following me around. He said when we went to Utah, he said he was going to track us and show up. And Hakeem was like, I mean, I guess if he comes, I mean, he deserves to be here. So it's fine. I guess it's fine.
Do you not want to follow him on a date and be like, hi, what are we having? Like, do you not just sit down at a table and we need a couple more drinks over here? I'll take a water. And so, yeah, I mean. So
I was out for a run a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't know where his girlfriend lived, but I happened to run past her house, and he was parked outside because he was going to drive her to school. And she was about to get in the car, and I was like, Miss, is this guy bothering you? He seems like a creep. Are you okay? Do you want me to call the police? And he was like, Mom, get out of here. I was like, Miss, it's okay. I know a lot of self-defense. I can protect you from this guy. You don't have to get in this car. I'm here. And she's laughing, like practically peeing herself. And he's like, Mom, get out of here. Go finish your run. And I thought it was hilarious. And now I know where she lives. I took a picture of them, and she's like covering her face laughing, and he looks completely discombobulated. And it was the best day of my month.
Oh, that's great. I love it. So any other advice for those who are trying to do the balance between the running and the ones who do not run?
I would say you may have to break up your training. Might have to break up into back-to-backs and 2-a-days and try and do stuff when people are not around, when they're busy. Look at their schedule and see when they're busy so that you can be busy at that time. And maybe try and get them involved at least in little things like going for walks and stuff like that. That's probably the biggest thing. Figure out when they are busy so that you can be busy at that time also, and they don't feel like they're being deprived of your presence. I always think you're sleeping. You don't need me here sleeping beside you, you know, and if they are really, anti your diet, maybe just bringing them treats will make them just leave you alone. Here, have some cake. I'm going to the forest. I'll bring more cake and whenever there's something that's really fun that involves food, I always try to invite. So if we were like having a cronut run, I'd be like, you don't have to run. You could just walk around for half an hour and then you could eat some cronuts, or we're all gonna, grill after we're done our run. I tried to include them so they would get to know some of my friends and maybe like them, and maybe that would give them a more positive outlook. It wasn't the most successful, but at times, I mean, they did show up and smile and eat some of our snacks. So I think that was the best I could do.
That's great. And I feel like that's exactly where, I mean, it's working for me is that balance is just, like vacation, going on vacation, on like taking a long weekend. And I'm like, oh, that's usually where I'm running. And I'm like, okay, so I'm just going to do some shifting around on the training plan, so it's fine.
A lot of people don't realize that you can shift around your training plan. You don't have to be married to it. You can move something from Tuesday to Friday or, Wednesday to Sunday. You can move things around to accommodate something that comes up, even if it's just to fix an emotional turmoil moment in a relationship. Like you can move stuff around and make them feel better. You don't always have to do speed work on Tuesday at 7 a.m.
And I think it relays a message I think it's important to tell them too, like, hey, I moved things around so we could be free. And I think that gives a good message of saying, you matter to me. Like, you are above my running.
100%.
Yeah.
You're spot on right there.
Yeah. So, all righty. Well, if you have anything else, that's all I have for my questions.
All right. Well, I hope that someone else who comes on has more tips even for me, because it can be difficult.
It can.
But
doable.
I feel like I'm in a good place now.
Yes,
I can't complain.
That's awesome.
I mean, I guess we'll see in the training. We'll see what happens at the race.
He's gonna make or break.
Right? I'm like, oh man, it was bad time management.
All right. Well, thanks for being on, and until next time. All right.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yes. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, that's a wrap on today's episode of Runners of Corn. Thank you to my guests for their perspectives on balancing running and life. What stood out on me in their stories, they all shared the same underlying theme: communication and time management. One point that really has my gears turning was from Oscar. He said something that really hit home. As runners, we become selfish. It's true. A lot of us get hyper-focused on the training and the racing, and we can lose sight of those people around us. On that road to crushing your race goals, don't lose sight of those who matter most. Yeah, they may not run, but they're our people, our family, our friends. Here's the hard truth. If running was suddenly taken away from you, would the people in your life still be there for you? It's a sobering thought, but it's one we should all consider. Managing our time, fostering our relationships, and showing gratitude should be just as important, if not more so, than chasing a PR or finishing an ultra. To everyone who responded to my questions on this topic, thank you. While I couldn't feature every response, I hope you felt heard. And to those of you lucky enough to have supportive spouses or loved ones on the sidelines, do not take that for granted. Cherish them. Thank you again to Alisa, Oscar, and Natalie for sharing their insights and experiences. I hope that their stories inspire you to find your own balance between running and life. Stay after it, my friends, and remember, the miles will always be there, but the people in your life might not be. So until next time, happy running.